firing head coach Mike Brown over the weekend. That led to quite a lot of discussion as to whether or not that was warranted or not. You had Michael Malone, head coach of the Denver Nuggets, obviously coming out and saying that no balls, no class, no balls about that organization. You had George Karl, who is always very opinionated and has stuff that he wants you to know that he has to say, chiming in as well. I was going to look around tweets for this, but I feel like the best place to go for all of this info is just the Sacramento Kings subreddit. Like, talk about a subreddit and a community that's really going through it, huh? They've really been struggling this season to try and come to grips with what's happening. Now, if you are part of this channel, it shouldn't come as much of a surprise to you. We called this. Are we surprised? No. We called this. We called the Sacramento Kings not being that great of a team so far this season. And I do have to. I've been wondering this. The beam. Do you just kill it? I mean, at this point, those type of like really fun gimmicky things are only fun when your team is fun. When your team's not fun, it's a little bit sad if you're 1-8 in your last 9 games and you're lighting the beam for that one game. It doesn't hit the same. It doesn't hit the same. What the fuck do you want? You want to go inside? You were just in there. He's such a spoiled brat. This cat is such a spoiled brat, he is. He doesn't want to come hang out with me, but he wants to go in there. All right, fine. So anyways, talk to your wife, yeah. Anyways, I feel like it's very interesting to check this subreddit out. I'm interested to see what their opinions are, the Sacramento Kings fans, and just where they. Is this one of the worst vibes in the league so far this season? The Sixers have turned it around. The Pelicans are already bottomed out. They're at the bottom. They can't get any worse than this. Just looking around the NBA, does any team like feel worse about where they're at? If we just look at the standings, be nice to the baby. Oh, he's a spoiled brat. Trust me, he lives a very good life. I don't think there's any team with worse vibes. Honest to God. The Warriors' vibes are tanking. They're cratering. So that's one to monitor. The Suns' vibes are pretty bad as well. But the Kings' vibes, you fire your coach who was beloved. Like just a couple of seasons removed from winning Coach of the Year. And I want to talk about that really quickly because people are always so surprised by that. Oh my God, he just won Coach of the Year. I can't believe you'd fire him after winning Coach of the Year. We see this all of the time. Across sports, this happens in the NFL where guys win Coach of the Year. They call it a curse, winning Coach of the Year in the NFL because it feels like you're on your way to getting canned soon. And if you look at the NBA Coach of the Year recent award winners, Dagnall won last year. Well, you would probably assume that he's safe, right? You have Mike Brown fired, Monty Williams fired, Tom Thibodeau still there. Nick Nurse, gone. Budenholzer, gone. Dwayne Casey was fired, I believe, the year he won this. Am I wrong? Didn't Dwayne Casey get fired before he was presented with this award? Am I misremembering that? But as you can see, it's not an award that grants you a lot of job security. And I talked about this on one of my playback streams, playback.tv/slightly biased. I'm thinking about doing like a playback, not a subathon type of thing, but I wonder how possible it is if I was like, yo, I'm streaming X amount of days. I want to have more members than anybody else on playback by the end of it. Who has the most, I wonder? The dunker spot? Tell me that doesn't say 45,000. The most is 22,000. I wonder how possible it is. We're at 2,000. But we also we're a little inconsistent over there. But anyways, let's continue before I continue to get derailed this much. I was saying, you look at the award winners here, and there's a common trend if you win Coach of the Year. It's usually on a team that was not supposed to be as good as it ended up being. Daigneault won it last year. Obviously, the Thunder won 57 games. That was a team that a lot of people had in the play-in tournament going into the season. They finished as the 1 seed. Mike Brown, the Sacramento Kings, that was a team that nobody really expected much out of. They finished as the 3 seed. Now, granted, it was a weird, wonky season. They won 48 games and were the 3 seed. 48 games, that probably gets you in the play-in tournament most years in the Western Conference. But, hey, nobody expected that, so he won. Monty Williams on the Phoenix Suns, 64 wins. I think people expected them to be good, but 64 wins is crazy. You know, it doesn't go to the established guys, right? Like, who's the favorite to win it this year? Kenny Atkinson, right? He's got to be the favorite to win Coach of the Year this season. Coach of the Year favorite. It's got to be Kenny Atkinson. Which, new coach, you know, not really. I mean, people expected the Cavs to be good, but they're at another level. Should be Jamal Mosley. Yeah, it probably should be. But I actually feel like Jamal Mosley's reaching this weird race. This actually is interesting. Let's check in on where some of these betting odds are. Wow. Shea is now the betting favorite to win MVP. When did that change? When did that happen? Shea's plus 125, Jokic plus 135, Giannis third, Tatum fourth, sitting at fifth in MVP odds. Victor Wembanyama. How about that? Obviously, Luka is no longer going to be eligible. I do think Shea's, I'm telling you guys, Mavs fans, you need to buckle up. Shea's probably going to win this shit. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. Okay. Rookie of the Year right now, Zach Edey is a pretty overwhelming favorite over Yves Missy. Okay. Defensive Player of the Year, Wemby is a comfortable favorite. Minus 270. Wow. Jalen Johnson, Tyler Hero, tied for Most Improved. I gave Tyler Hero a Most Improved shout a couple weeks into the season. We'll talk about him here more in a bit. Sixth Man of the Year, Peyton Pritchard, comfortable favorite. Coach of the Year, Kenny Atkinson, currently a comfortable favorite over Taylor Jenkins. But you look at some of the other guys on this list. Like, you know, who would you consider the best coach in the NBA? But do we still think it's Spo? The Heat are 16-14. Do we think Spoelstra is Coach of the Year or the best coach in the NBA still? Or is there room for debate? Daigneault definitely has an argument. Kill a kid, yeah. Kill a kid. All right. But Daigneault won it last year. The Thunder are on pace to win 60-plus games in an unbelievable Western Conference, and he's below Ty Lue on Coach of the Year lists, on the Coach of the Year betting thing. Spoelstra is not even, I don't even think he's in the top 20 on here. So it is Kid. I mean, you got to think about it. Kid's not even on here. Kid doesn't even have odds on here. Like JJ Redick has odds. He's not winning that shit. Mike Budenholzer still has odds. They're the 11 seed. Jordy Fernandez has odds. They're bottoming out. He's a great coach. They're bottoming out. Jason Kidd, the Mavs are the 4 seed with all these injuries. He's not even on this fucking list. So what I'm trying to get at is the Coach of the Year stuff so often comes down to teams that people don't really expect anything out of that really kind of surprise us. And I think that leads to some volatility, right? Because that means your roster's flawed usually. Like, you dealt with injuries. Maybe there was some luck there. And when the Kings were the 3 seed, there was a ton of luck. Injury luck, clutch luck, all of that stuff. And it's not that much of a surprise that they've just kind of stayed the same. Now, with that being said, the roster construction has been terrible. I've talked about this all preseason. And I always feel bad for how much I poo-poo the Kings. Because they're the Kings. Who really needs to poo-poo them? Their whole franchise history pretty much has been them getting poo-pooed. So I don't like doing it, especially after they were the 3 seed. It was a fun story. They were all the team that everyone rooted for. Light the beam, so much fun. Mike Brown, they're on the fucking Jets. Like, we all loved it. But I sat there and I was like, the West is horrible this year. So many teams were injured. This is not like that great of a Kings team. They were very fortunate and they took advantage of it. Then they go into that offseason and do nothing. What did they do that offseason after they were the 3 seed? What was their big move? Remember, they brought back Harrison Barnes. There was a lot of talk that they had cap space and they were getting X, Y, and Z. They bring back Harrison Barnes on a big extension. Sasha Veznikov. That was their move. They went out and they got Sasha Veznikov, who they salary dumped a year later. Vezenkov. Okay, Vezenkov. Sasha Vezenkov. Last year was a disappointment, obviously. They go into the offseason. What do? Well, they got a salary dump, guys. How much did they give up to salary dump guys in an effort to bring in DeMar DeRozan? Oh, look, here we go. From James Ham's newsletter today, an incredible display of incompetence, wasting assets from this front office. In the summer of 2023, McNair and Wilcox sent a pair of second-round selections to the Indiana Pacers for Chris Duarte, including the Dallas Mavericks 2028 second. How the fuck did they get that? The Mavs just said second round. I don't know. I don't know how people get possession of the Dallas Mavericks second round pick. I'm trying to think in my brain what that trade could have been where the Mavericks gave the Kings the second round pick, and it's not clicking. And their own 2030 second. Was that part of the Rashawn Holmes trade, maybe? So they went out and got Chris Duarte. Was there a reasoning for that? God, Chris Duarte. Gross. The Hardy trade. Oh, okay. All right. As part of a 3-team sign and trade this last summer, the Kings sent Duarte alongside with their 2025 second round pick and their own 2028 second to the Bulls as part of the DeMar DeRozan acquisition. That deal also sent Harrison Barnes and a potential 2031 pick swap to the San Antonio Spurs. Just going to tell you right now, that was a 2031 first-round pick swap. That shit will be going to the San Antonio Spurs. You never know in the NBA, obviously, but imagining 7 years from now, Victor Wembanyama is going to be 27 years old and probably more likely than not the best player in the NBA by probably a comfortable margin, playing on a San Antonio Spurs team that probably is very, very competitive. And we'll just look at the track record of the Sacramento Kings. That shit's probably going to be the San Antonio Spurs pick. All right? The Spurs will probably be picking fairly highly in that draft. And the Kings will probably be picking in the low 20s. Okay? In addition to the trade above, McNair and Wilcox sent 2 second-round selections to the Toronto Raptors, along with Davion Mitchell and Sasha Vezenkov, in a salary dump that brought back Jalen McDaniels. Chuck goes with a $4.99 hypothetical. If you were a GM starting a franchise and you could either have Wemby and Paolo or any 2 players besides those 2, who do you take? If I'm starting a franchise from scratch, Wemby and Paolo, or I could take any 2, well, if I could just pick any 2 players to start a franchise with, Wemby is one of them, for sure. The other one would be Luka. But if it was anyone besides those 2, I would go Luka. Man, I kind of feel like the gap between Wemby and who else I would have paired next to Luka. Wemby and Paolo, you'd be winning forever. You would be winning forever. Luka and SGA, that would be good. That would be nasty. Point guard and shooting guard, yeah, but I think I'd like a bigger player next to Luka, personally. I think I'd probably go Wemby and Paolo. Luka and Giannis, yeah, but you got to win in the next 2 or 3 years. Whereas, hypothetically, Wemby and Paolo, you're good. Kyrie and Braun. Wemby and Paolo, you're good for the next decade plus. And Wemby and Paolo gives you size. Luka and Wemby would be my obvious answer. Kleba and Omax, yeah, you're set if that's your duo. Sorry, we're off the beat. We're interesting hypothetical, but let's lock back in. So a salary dump, Davion Mitchell, Sasha Vezenkov for Jalen McDaniels. I shit all over that move when that happened. That made no fucking sense to me whatsoever. One of the second-round picks was Sacramento's 2024 selection, and the second was a 2025 second-rounder from the Portland Trailblazers. Sacramento later sent McDaniels to the San Antonio Spurs, along with their 2031 second-round pick, in a salary dump. To add insult to injury, Vezenkov opted to return to Europe and walked away from a $6.6 million salary for this season. Oh, so they salary dumped Vezenkov, and he retired anyways. Okay. That one stings a little bit. And this doesn't even mention, by the way, this doesn't even mention maybe the most egregious one, which was trading a first-round pick during the 2023 draft to dump Rashawn Holmes. And the Mavericks turning that into Olivier Maxence Prosper, who, hasn't really developed into much of anything up until this point. But all of these salary dump trades, and by the way, salary dump trades does not make, like, a smart, clever salary dump does not make your GM, your front office good. Okay? Now, there's context to that. I'm about to sound like a homer because I'm going to say, oh, well, the Dallas Mavericks, like Nico Harrison, had a masterful salary dump this past year. He did. Dumping Tim Hardaway Jr. and a few second-round picks to the Detroit Pistons and getting Quentin Grimes, who's turned into a very important key rotational piece for them. That's a masterful trade. I don't even count that shit as a salary dump, even though it was, because Quentin Grimes has ended up becoming such an important player for the Mavericks. Meanwhile, you have Calvin Booth and the Denver Nuggets, dumping 3 second-round picks to get off of Reggie Jackson's $5 million contract. Three second-round picks just to get off Reggie Jackson's $5 million contract, getting nothing in return. The next day, 24 hours later, the Dallas Mavericks trade 3 second-round picks and Tim Hardaway Jr., who was making $18 million, to the Pistons, getting Quentin Grimes in return. That had to make Nuggets fans sick. But anyways, look at all these salary dumps. My God. Now, to be fair, all of these salary dumps were pretty much made in an effort to bring in DeMar DeRozan. And this was the thing in the offseason that was weird for me with DeRozan and the Kings. What up, Reader? It's ironic you say that because we're talking about the Kings. The DeRozan was cool. It's cool that, like, a team like Sacramento, who throughout their franchise's history, you don't get free agents. You don't get too many guys who are saying, I want to go play for Sacramento. To get a guy like DeMar DeRozan, a Hall of Famer, for sure going to be the Hall of Fame, who's still a really good player, all-star level player, around all-star level player, saying, hey, I want to go play for Sacramento. I'm Sacramento, let's go. That's cool. That's awesome. That's sick. That's great. Fans are excited. They should be. The fit makes zero fucking sense. None whatsoever. Made no sense. And it's not really working out. Their three-point shooting is abysmal. Keegan Murray's 29% from 3. Kevin Huerter's 31% from 3. Now, you can look at all of these guys having bad three-point shooting seasons and say, oh, well, it's just bad shooting luck and that's part of it. Or you can look at it and say, there's no fucking spacing. They don't have guys who space the fucking floor on the court. They'll probably set the record for most threes tonight. Then, yeah, I could see that. It's just a strange fit. It really is. If the Kings would simply make all of their 3 balls, none of this would be happening. Dude, if any team made all their fucking threes, nothing would ever be happening. Okay? Sorry to get a little worked up there. If every team made their fucking threes, then nothing would ever happen. You understand? You can't just say, well, if we just made our threes. Kings' entire three-point shooting, Harrison Barnes. That's actually kind of true, is what's funny. Like, they actually kind of just needed that guy. Is Kispert a Mavs option? I can't really think of why that would be the case, to be honest with you. Can't really think of it. Yeah, this is a hilarious meme right here. Fans, Mike Brown deserves to be fired. Mike Brown gets fired. Shocked Pikachu face. This is funny because I mentioned this. As I saw Kings fans all over Twitter and shit like that, just begging for Mike Brown to get fired, saying that he's a horrible coach. And it was really funny to see the rest of the NBA community's reaction to him getting fired whenever their team, they're 13-19. Damn. I did not realize it was that bad. I knew that it was bad and they were on a losing stretch. 13-19. Holy fuck. The West is so competitive, that doesn't even feel salvageable, man. That doesn't even feel salvageable. De'Aaron Fox tonight in Los Angeles. We have to find a way to get better. Whether that's the players that aren't in this locker room or the players that are the players in this locker room. We have to buckle down and get better. The conference is continuing to grow, so we have to grow with it. Wow. We have to find a way to get better, whether that's players that aren't in this locker room or the players in this locker room. Do you think Fox could get traded for Jimmy Butler? No. Fox is going to get traded, though. That writing is on the wall. It feels like one of the NBA's worst kept secrets. Fox will be on a new team in the not-so-distant future. Would be very shocked if something like that happens between now and the February 6th. Isn't that what it is? February 6th trade deadline. But this feels like a foregone conclusion that De'Aaron Fox will be somewhere else. The post below this team is soft and lacking the personalities required to dominate the league. I mean, part of that comes De'Aaron Fox. Like, is De'Aaron Fox a soft player? I'm just. It's weird because you can watch. De'Aaron Fox had that weekend where he scored 60 points and then 49 points the next game. And you see, like, De'Aaron Fox every now and then will have flashes where you're like, holy fuck. This guy's unreal. But, man, it feels so far. I mean, remember last year, the start of last season, I made a video that was like, hey, dude, De'Aaron Fox was playing like an MVP. That's how good he was to start the season. And then he just kind of tailed off. It just feels like he's so fast, so quick. Nobody in the league can keep up with him. His first step. It just feels like because of that, he can get a shot anytime he wants. He went 1 of 9 from 3 in their loss to the Lakers a couple nights ago. I don't know. What a weird situation this is. It just feels like it's headed towards a bad. Doug Christie's stupid rotations. They're already mad at Doug Christie's rotations. Malik Monk, sorry fans, we are going to turn it around. This just feels like this is headed towards a bad place. Unfortunately. Fox just seems not to care until the fourth quarter most of the time. You can't be a consistent star not giving a shit about the 3/4 of the game. Trade Fox for a bunch of depth and build around Sabonis, DeRozan, Murray. I mean, think about what you're saying, bro. I mean, this is one of those moments where it's like, you have to remember, not every team's going to win a championship. Teams know this. For some teams, it's better just to be competitive in the playoffs, giving your fans something to cheer for every night. The Kings, I think, are in that group. But just think about what you just said, bro. Build around Sabonis, DeRozan, and Keegan Murray. Dire. That's as bad as it gets.